A poor young man married a beautiful wife without paying a betrothal gift. Little did he expect that he would deeply regret it after marriage.
근데 그걸 왜 너 혼자 결정해? 내가 세우는데?
섹스는 남자 성기로만 할 수 있단 말인가?
Faced with the woman's outrageous response, he realized she was obsessed with celebrity worship and looked down on him for not being handsome enough. But even so, the man could only put on his clothes and dared not complain, because the car and house were all part of his wife's dowry, leaving him with even lower status than a dog in the household. Feeling upset, the man asked a friend to play billiards to unwind, and unexpectedly ran into a tall, gorgeous woman who not only had a hot figure but even took the initiative to greet him. Looking at the gentle beauty before him, the man's worries instantly vanished. But before he could speak to her, his more experienced friend stepped in first and, with his smooth talking, successfully persuaded the beauty to play a game with him. The introverted and shy man could only sit in the corner, watching the two with envy. Just as the man thought he would be alone all night, Locke gave him a hand. His friend, distracted by staring at the beauty, accidentally knocked over the waiter's tray, spilling water all over her. Soaked and wanting to go home to change into dry clothes, she faced a dilemma. Earlier, his friend had set the stakes for this match at 100,000, and leaving mid-game would mean forfeiting. Yet staying in wet clothes could make her sick, so the beauty made a bold decision. Right in front of everyone, she took off her underwear and used it as a hair tie to tie up her hair. She believed that without that layer, her clothes would dry faster. But unexpectedly, this suggestive act attracted unwanted attention. People around bent down simultaneously to sneak a peek while she leaned over the pool table. Just as the beauty was enduring the audience's harassment, the man finally mustered the courage to quickly cover her private area with his jacket. Then, under everyone's surprised gaze, he dashed out of the pool hall as if fleeing. Little did the man know that this somewhat awkward act of heroism would win him the beauty's favor. So before he could go far, the beauty quickly caught up to thank him and said she really liked his jacket. But to her surprise, the man's reaction was something she never expected.
입고 주시면 안 될까요? 아울렛에서 산 거긴 한데.
After speaking, the man immediately felt it was inappropriate and hurriedly tried to explain himself. Yet this honest reply, instead, made the beauty who was used to sweet talk find him quite adorable, and her fondness for him grew even more. So the beauty took the opportunity to suggest treating the man to dinner. This time, the man finally wised up. To win her favor, he took the beauty to the restaurant where he worked. First, he skillfully cut the kneaded dough into noodles. Then, he vigorously stir-fried sugar-glazed pork tenderloin in a wok. As the sweet and sour aroma filled the room, the man finally brought out a bottle of Chinese liquor. Although it was only a semi-authentic Chinese meal, the wonderful flavors successfully won over the beauty.
먼 훗날 우리가 잊고 살다가 문득 봉수 씨가 떠올랐을 때 그때 그 사람 이름이 뭐였더라? 아, 탕수육.
Seeing the beauty's longing gaze, the man was still too timid to make a move. To cover his embarrassment, he could only keep pouring drinks for the beauty. But unexpectedly, with the help of alcohol, the beauty who was supposed to be the passive one couldn't help but break the ice first.
그리고 나 봉수 씨랑 자고 싶어요.
Then, ignoring the man's shocked expression, she took him home and spent 2 unforgettable hours together. However, the man didn't know that Jenny, besides being beautiful, would soon help him completely turn his life around. Not only would his originally cold-hearted wife become devoted to him, but with Jenny's help, he would even earn $5 million in just a year, becoming a winner in life. But if you think this is a story about a scoundrel getting rewarded, you're wrong. The truth at the end is far more than just a simple twist. Yet before gaining all of this, Bongsu had to return home before 12 o'clock. Although his wife Mi-young wouldn't let him touch her and was cold toward him, if he dared to divorce her, he would end up sleeping on the streets that same day. To avoid raising his wife's suspicion, Bongsu started spraying alcohol on himself before entering the house. Afraid it wouldn't seem convincing, he even rinsed his mouth several times with liquor. Only after his whole body reeked of alcohol did he nervously push open the door.
뭐야? 술 마신 거야?
미안. 너무 반가워서 한잔했어. 대신 술값은 개봉 내라고 그랬어. 왜냐? 우린 아직 대출이 안 끝났으니까.
After saying this, Bongsu immediately ran back to the room, frantically took off his clothes, and rushed into the bathroom. But unexpectedly, His exaggerated behavior actually aroused Mi-young's suspicion. Seeing that he had already entered the bathroom, Mi-young picked up Bong-soo's jacket to inspect it. Smelling the strong scent of alcohol, she then found a pair of pink underwear in the pocket. At this moment, Bong-soo was still relieved to have narrowly escaped, but the next second, the bathroom door was violently opened. Bong-soo stared in shock at the underwear left by Jenny, his mind instantly going blank. He guiltily lowered her head. He truly thought of a solution.
내 거야. 입으려고 샀어.
나가! 빨리 나가! 아, 나가라고!
Bong-soo lied to Mi-young, saying the underwear belonged to a friend, and his friend Suk-gun gritted his teeth and admitted it. The reason why Bong-soo was confident that his friend would help him was that, a few months earlier, he accidentally discovered a female passenger using a shared payment account, and the man involved turned out to be his friend Suk-gun. At the time, Bong-soo was furious and intended to tell Suk-gun's wife about the affair. However, Suk-gun cried uncontrollably that night, swore he would never betray his wife again, and promised Bong-soo that he could ask for help any time in the future. Moved by this, Bong-soo decided to keep the secret for him. That's why this incident of taking the blame happened, although Bong-soo managed to deceive his wife. Seeing Suk-gun staying in their warehouse made him decide to break up with Jenny, but recalling her attractive figure, he still wanted to risk meeting Jenny one last time. Little did Bong-soo know that this meeting would completely change his life. The next day, as soon as his wife left the house, Bong-soo eagerly went to see Jenny. Unexpectedly, as soon as she opened the door, Jenny asked Bong-soo to make it up to her. Hearing this, Bong-soo felt somewhat disappointed, thinking he was merely a transactional partner in her eyes. But to his surprise, what Jenny wanted was for Bong-soo to stay and play games with her at home. This request made Bong-soo feel unexpectedly ashamed yet secretly pleased. With mixed emotions, the two of them spent the entire day playing happily. Jenny's energetic and adorable demeanor made Bong-soo, who had grown up as an orphan, experience the joy he missed in his childhood. But the surprises Jenny brought to Bong-soo didn't end there. Whenever they had free time, Jenny would personally cook Bong-soo's favorite Chinese dishes for him. Moreover, they would chat while eating, often coincidentally sharing the same thoughts.
이 탕수육 소스에 설탕 대신 제주도만의 뭔가를 넣는 거예요. 이렇게 예를 들면
유채꽃.
This made Bong-soo, in his 30s, feel understood by a kindred spirit for the first time. However, what Bong-soo found most irresistible were the intense experiences of physical intimacy Jenny shared with him. The intensity was such that even the most experienced elders couldn't help but pause and take notice. At that moment, Bong-soo vowed to stay with Jenny forever, but life often takes a turn from joy to sorrow. In the heat of the moment, Jenny accidentally released the handbrake, causing the vehicle to lose control and roll downhill until it crashed into a large rock at the foot of the mountain. When the rescue arrived, gentle Jenny comforted Bong-soo and took the opportunity to switch to a larger car, but Bong-soo said words that would shame him for life.
아껴뒀던 말인데 제가 돈이 없습니다. 사실은 그 사람 가게예요. 지금 사는 집은 형님 집이고.
Bong-soo looked at the damaged car as if it were his shattered dignity, but the next second Jenny said something shocking.
아니 뭐 그런 말을 아껴? 아 벌면 되죠. 유채꽃 탕수육 시작해봐요.
Just like that, under Jenny's encouragement, Bong-soo defied his wife's decision for the first time and made Chinese food. Before this, wife Mi-young only let him run errands and do odd jobs in the shop. Although he explicitly opposed it, his wife stubbornly insisted on her own views.
나 얘기 아직 안 끝났어.
대출도 아직 안 끝났어.
But today, no matter how family and friends mocked him, Bong-soo firmly brought out the prepared jajangmyeon and sweet and sour pork. Everyone saw that they couldn't avoid it, so they reluctantly put the food into their mouths. But after just one small bite, the chef was stunned. Friend Suk-gun also stopped and stared at Bong-soo, and even the wife's face was full of shock. As expected, the delicious Chinese food easily conquered their stomachs. Just like that, Bong-soo successfully got the opportunity to make Chinese food, and the shop's business changed from having no customers before to the most popular one within 100 miles. The suddenly rich Bong-soo immediately changed to a new car, taking Jenny to revisit that mountain from before. At this moment in his heart, Jenny is not only his lover, but also his benefactor and confidant. He also hopes that days can continue like this. But as the saying goes, life always tends to turn from joy to sorrow. On this day, Bong-soo went home to celebrate Mi-young's birthday. But unexpectedly Jenny sent a message asking for his house number. If Bong-soo doesn't tell her, then Jenny will shout and let wife Mi-young know. But at this time, because he had money, plus the guilt of cheating, Bong-soo was tolerant and generous to his wife, which also restored the two to their first love state. And at this time Bong-soo did not want to leave his wife at all. Anxious, he carefully pulled open the curtain, but unexpectedly the other party actually came looking. Bong-soo's heart jumped to his throat. The situation was urgent, he didn't dare think much, so he could only lie and go out to take out the trash. But fortunately, the wife's attention was all on the just received diamond necklace, so she didn't suspect. Anxious Bong-soo grabbed the trash and rushed outside. Seeing Jenny waiting for him with a smiling face, he quickly questioned why she came to his home, but unexpectedly,
어머나.
this action nearly scared Bong-soo to death, and he quickly dressed her while coaxing Jenny to leave. However, Jenny, who was full of love, did not expect to be questioned and driven away. Faced with his indifferent attitude, she asked Bong-soo what their relationship was, and to make Jenny leave quickly, Bong-soo decided to give a strong dose of reality.
이것도 저것도 아닌 건 아니고요. 그냥 조심하면 좋아지는 관계잖아요.
But it was this statement that almost caused Bong-soo's downfall, because the very next day, Jenny actually came to the restaurant. From the kitchen, Bong-soo saw her talking with his wife about something. Afraid of being exposed, Bong-soo quickly hid behind the cabinet. Unexpectedly, his wife Mi-young walked in with a knife.
뭘도 이쁘고 몸매가지고 그냥.
Bong-soo, who had just breathed a sigh of relief, was reluctantly pulled into the dining area. During those few short steps, he imagined several possible reactions from her, but Jenny pretended to be a stranger and greeted him. This did not put Bong-soo at ease, because he knew that every extra second she stayed increased his risk of exposure, so he decided to prevent her from getting hired. However, unexpectedly, Mi-young and Jenny found common ground. Moreover, Jenny mentioned she could work for a lower wage, which directly appealed to the thrifty Mi-young, and so, Jenny stayed, even becoming close friends who shared everything with Mi-young. But the more harmonious the atmosphere, the more nervous Bong-soo became, wanting her to leave. Bong-soo quickly took out his phone to text Jenny. Unexpectedly, Jenny glanced at it, saw it was from him, and ignored it. Seeing that she was ignoring him, Bong-soo kept sending messages non-stop. But the next second, an unexpected incident occurred.
둘이 사귀니?
상범이가 좀 이상한 짓을 해서 그만하라고.
남자끼리 이모티콘 보내는 게 더 이상해.
Fortunately, Bong-soo had saved Jenny's name as brother in his contacts, and they only communicated using emojis, which once again avoided raising Mi-young's suspicion. However, it is only possible to be a thief for 1,000 days. There is no way to guard against theft for 1,000 days. In order to settle things with Jenny, Bong-soo came up with a plan. Taking advantage of his wife Mi-young being out on business this day, Bong-soo met with Jenny alone and urged her to resign quickly, otherwise he would feel nervous. But unexpectedly, Jenny said that meeting this way was even more thrilling. However, Bong-soo insisted that Jenny leave his home and promised that he would secretly visit her every day. Yet Jenny actually started taking off her clothes right inside Bong-soo's house.
뭐 하는 겁니까? 명이 금방 와요.
그러니까 더 흥분되는데?
And so the two couldn't resist and began to get intimate. But just then, Mi-young, who had finished her work, had already reached the front door of the house. As she looked up, she directly saw Jenny in an intimate scene. As it turned out, Mi-young thought Jenny had brought another man home. She even specially called Bong-soo to share this news with him. Little did she know that it was her own phone call that allowed Bong-soo to prepare and sneak away. And this kind of thrill made Bong-soo increasingly unable to stop himself. Just when it seemed that Bong-soo and Mi-young's marriage could fall apart at any moment, an unexpected incident made Bong-soo completely reform his ways. On this day, Suk-gun's wife was hit by a large truck that appeared around a corner while she was on her way to buy groceries. By the time Suk-gun arrived at the hospital, she had already passed away. And the most absurd part was that the reason Suk-kun's wife went out to buy groceries was to show off the new bag Suk-kun had given her. That bag was actually given by Suk-kun to his lover, but the lover did not think much of him. But however unfaithful Suk-kun had been before, that was how much pain he was in now, and Suk-kun's disheveled state made Bong-soo start to reflect. So after much inner conflict, Bong-soo finally made up his mind, arranged to meet Jenny at a restaurant, and ended the relationship with her. In the end, Bong-soo chose to return to his family and spent the rest of his life with Mi-young. But the story does not end here. Do you think it is especially pitiful that Mi-young never knew the truth? But actually, the film ends here. Thank you for your quiet companionship, and we look forward to walking into the next story with you.